The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast.
We go. Right. Hi, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. Today I have Colin Sevens with me, who describes himself as Coach Colin. And I think that's a perfect place to start. Hi, Colin. How are you?
Hello, Rebecca. I am fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure. Now, whereabouts in the world are you, Colin?
I am in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina of the United States.
Wow. Very nice part of the world. Very nice indeed.
Yeah.
You are an NBA basketball coach. Tell us how you got started in basketball, how you got started in basketball coaching, and where that's taken you, because it's a big old story.
Sure. Well, I'm an NBA skills trainer, so
Okay.
a little different than being. I'm not affiliated with any team,
Okay.
but I train NBA players along with overseas players and college players and all the way down through little guys. So I got my start in basketball because I fell in love with the game. And when I was young, I just applied myself a lot and I became a Division I basketball player over here in the States. That's the highest level that you can play at in college. And so I was there on scholarship and I got my psychology degree. And shortly after my playing career in college, I got into the banking world because I didn't know what to do with my life. I was engaged as a college senior, and I knew I needed to do something other than basketball because I wasn't going to make a lot of money playing basketball. And so I got into the banking world, but while I was banking, I started training some players, and I realized that I had a deep passion and for teaching, for pushing and coaching players, taking what some fantastic coaches had taught me and then applying it and giving that knowledge and understanding and work to other players. And so it brought something alive in me to where one player became three players, became 10, 20, 50 players, and now we have hundreds of players come through our academy a year. So
Wow, that's really impressive. I love the fact that you've turned something that you really enjoy into, how you earn your living. And I hadn't realized you'd done psychology at university, which obviously fits beautifully with coaching, whether it's sport, business, life, relationships. Do you think, well, okay, here's the question. Where is that interest in pushing people come from, do you think?
I think, I don't know exactly where it comes from. I just know it's in me. And I don't know if I was born with it or if it was nurtured or what, but I think, my road to getting to play Division I college basketball was very, very difficult. When I was coming out of high school, I wasn't highly recruited. I'm not a very tall person, and basketball is kind of a tall man sport or a tall woman sport, just a tall person sport altogether.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with it, and I wasn't highly recruited, and there weren't people that were coming after me because, I was good, but I wasn't a big standout. But I still had this big time desire to play at a high level. And so while other kids were partying in high school, I was out at the basketball court working on my game, or I was working on my fitness, or I was in the weight room. I was doing all the stuff that I could do to maximize my potential. And so I think there was something in that, in my road being so challenging for me to get to where I wanted to get to. And then finally I achieved it, that I began to see that in other people. There's this gap between where we are and what we want. And when we can figure out how to close that gap, I think some of the best things in life are when we're able to teach that to somebody else or inspire that in somebody else. And so when that started to rise up in me, when I started training other players, I started seeing how much that meant to me, for me to be able to give a gift that I feel like I was given from other coaches, and also kind of a gift from myself in terms of working on becoming the best that I could be, and then transitioning that to helping other players reach their potential. It was like this light bulb came on, and it meant a ton to me, but it also meant a lot to them. And so it was this connection of just goodness and light, and it made so much sense for me to pursue that path of turning something I loved into a business.
Not everybody would do that, because, and I think us business owners need to give ourselves credit for this, is that a lot of people would find that passion, yeah, absolutely, and do that dedication, but quite often they don't take the leap to turn it into a business. Where did that spark come from that you thought, oh, I know, I can make money out of this, I can turn it into a proper business?
Sure. And I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. When I was a kid, like I would rake leaves for neighbors. I would go door to door shoveling driveways when it snowed. I would have yard sales on the side. I would do all the stuff trying to figure out a way, to make a buck as a kid. So I had something in me that was willing to take that sort of risk, but I didn't realize, like, I had never planned on making this a career for myself. The fact that I saw that I was providing value for people, and it was something for me, like, man, I could do this all day long.
Right.
And so it was this intersection. The risk was I actually left the bank. So this is the story that I look back and I'm like, oh, this was kind of stupid. Like, what was I doing? So my wife and I had just purchased a house. I think we were 26 and 28. Shortly after that, we had our first baby. We had our daughter. And so my wife leaves her secure job at the insurance company to take care of our daughter. And then 11 months after that, I leave my secure job at the bank to play semi-pro basketball here in Myrtle Beach and to build my academy. And so what really drew me out, what helped me take the jump from going from the 9 to 5 to becoming an entrepreneur and a business owner, it was this lure of playing professional basketball, which I had always wanted to do. And I'm not sure, I'm not totally sure if I would have taken the leap had I not had something else pull me out of the safety and security of the 9 to 5.
Right. That's really interesting.
I'm grateful for that whole situation that happened, because it did pull me out. And then the real challenges started happening. It was like, oh, sink or swim. Yeah. We've got a little bit of savings here, but if we don't get this thing rocking and rolling soon, we're both going to have to go back to our jobs.
Yeah. There's nothing quite like a mortgage payment and a small baby to focus the mind, though, is there?
That's right. That is right. Sink or swim is not an option. It's only swim and figure out how we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic. So you've built this academy, and it's pretty well known. Again, we have US listeners, but for the UK, tell us about how important your academy is in the basketball landscape.
There's certainly in our area in Myrtle Beach, there wasn't a basketball academy when I started this. So in 2008 is when I started training players. In 2010 is really kind of when it became a business, and there was nothing like it. And so in terms of development, we provide individual training, we provide summer camps, we have leagues, we have travel teams. So that's our youth academy, and that's what we were building for 8 years or so. Then I came across an N.B.A. skills trainer who came down to Myrtle Beach with some of his clients, some of his N.B.A. clients, and he and I linked up, and I helped him for 3 months and just learning the professional side of training things.
Okay.
So learning how to get connected with agents and learning how to get players and learning how to run NBA pre-draft camps, which you know, the NBA here in the States is probably similar to what soccer is, maybe. I'm sorry, football.
Football.
In the UK, it's a massive deal, and fans are crazy about it. I've never been to the UK, but the way that you guys are passionate about football is so awesome. It is a little crazy, but it's so awesome.
It is crazy.
But so I got connected with an NBA skills trainer, and so I learned some of the business of having high level clients and how to also develop that side of the business, which is a different brand, right? It's different when you have a youth academy where you're helping players develop and get along, but then when you're also working with an elite level of players, it's a different feel. So I was able to learn a lot of that in 2016, and then I would go on to really start training more professional players from them.
So how has the business pushed you? Because we talked right at the beginning about the difference between where you are and where you want to be heading, and the coach is the person that kind of pushes you in that direction. How has the business done that for you, Colin?
Do you have a whole day,
Rebecca? Yeah. Okay, maybe some edited highlights.
Oh my. So I think one, where the first thing that pops to mind is the challenge of continuing to be myself while I'm servicing clients who I don't know.
Right.
I think there's always this challenge that we want to present ourselves in a way that is attractive to clients. And when it comes to a service-based business like what I'm in, there's always been the challenge of, hey, do I try to present this me or this me? Do I try to present something that is not maybe totally in line with who I am authentically because I think they will more approve of it and they're more willing to work with me? So on a deeper personal level, it's been a challenge for me to stay authentic and true to myself. And if they don't like it, that's okay. They're not the right fit. And so I had to go through that was very much a growing process to where I am now. I'm much more comfortable doing that. But in the early stages, I remember that being a battle almost every day with some of the more elite clients that I had. And then secondly, I would say on a leadership perspective, the challenge has been just to run a business is different than working in a business. So being somebody who services clients is different than somebody who is also managing people and managing payroll and managing marketing and so learning how to really run a business while operating in the business. And now I'm starting to step out of it more so that I can allow my people to do more. So there's this massive growth in terms of leadership and understanding and failing and then learning and holding my head in my hands at night, like what am I doing? And I think, any entrepreneur or business owner that's like has probably been there and commiserate,
Yeah, completely. I hear you on the leadership side, definitely, and the authenticity side. Actually, I think when you first start out in business, you're so keen to please everybody, aren't you? And you're so keen to get clients and get to a certain level that I think you're right. I think sometimes you try and kind of squish yourself into something you're not. And then you realize, like, hang on a minute, that's really not working for me because, well, one, it doesn't sit well with you, and two, you end up with clients you don't really like.
Absolutely.
That's no good. And then the leadership piece, we specialize in We build cultures in business, and one of the part of building that is to work with the owners and founders to put in really strong leadership skills, not only at the board but the senior management team level, because that stepping back from your baby that you've built is so hard, so hard. And it only works, I think, when you've got a great team below you. But then getting that great team below you is really hard work too. So feeling your pain, Colin. Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at TriCrest, we've built a kick-ass culture, coach and consultant program. So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9 to 5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And getting a great team below you, you never know when it's going to be the right time.
Yeah.
And certainly I would have loved my small business to have grown into a, bigger business than it is. But you don't know the timing of things. And that's part of being an entrepreneur is just being on a journey that you're like, okay, well, we're just going to kind of figure this out as we go. And you have to be very open and very optimistic and but also realistic.
Yeah.
And there is no roadmap, but that's the importance of you and what your team does, and because we do need help in those regards. So
yeah. And also the whole purpose of our podcast is so that entrepreneurs realize they're not alone. I think sometimes you think, is it just me that's going through this? No, it's everybody.
Yeah. That's right. That is right.
Okay, so what I really like about what you're doing now is you're taking all those lessons and you're now using your coaching in, I think you said, life coaching, business coaching, and relationship coaching. How did that transition come about?
Yeah, when I look at it, I was working with professional players, and I saw some of these guys, like I'm helping them on the court. I'm helping them develop their skills, their conditioning, getting them in shape and getting them ready for their next job or opportunity. And I'm seeing some of them succeed on the court, but their life is jacked up, or their character is jacked up. And there's this disconnect between being a successful basketball player and being a good quality human that contributes to society in a positive way.
Right.
So I began to see my shift organically, in coaching. I was coaching not just them on their skills, but now I start to begin to coach them more on their character and their mindset and their approach to life and the way that they treat people. And so there was this shift in me of what I saw as important. Yes, basketball was important, and that's why they were coming to me. But what meant more to me was them becoming a better human. And I don't think that we can actually become better in our craft, whether it's sports or whether it's parenting or whether it's business or academics, whatever it is, it's going to challenge us at the core of who we are. So if we actually level up who we are in terms of our discipline and our accountability and our honesty and like all the things that develop our character, if those improve, then we'll also see improvement in our career efforts and our craft. And so
absolutely.
So when I started putting that together, I was like, oh, I kind of need to take a different approach and maybe look to do things a little differently.
Yeah. Oh, so true. I've never done any kind of sport. I'm the least sporty person you'll ever want to meet. And especially not team sports and rubbish. But I can only speak from a business point of view, and you're absolutely right. The characters of the personalities and the relationships that the leaders I work with have, the most successful business owners are the ones that are also most successful in their personal lives. And what's really interesting, Colin, is the people who don't take care of their personal lives and who they are as a human being and think that it's all about business will have a certain degree of success. But then at some point it catches up with them.
Absolutely.
And it's really not pretty when it does catch up with them.
Yeah. And right. And then they go, oh my gosh, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And you can step in and say, well, I know how this happened.
Yeah.
If you look back, right? I mean, and so it was the same thing with the players that I was working with, like they make all this money and they don't have any sort of system in place to take care of their money or any sort of system in place to not be paying a whole bunch of their friends on salary that aren't doing anything. And they're just kind of squandering things. So it's on a financial basis or on a relationship basis, or they're just confused and they needed help beyond just becoming a better basketball player.
Yeah. And I guess they're quite young as well, aren't they?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So the professionals that I've been working with are from anywhere from 19 years old to 25, 26, 27 years old. And so you and I, right. So being 27 years old is kind of old as an athlete.
Yeah.
I believe you and I may know that, like, oh, wow, they're just getting started in life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, to be 27 again, Colin.
Yes.
So you've got this perfect storm. You've got guys, they're fit, they're healthy, they're probably quite good looking, they're earning loads of money, they're 19 to 24. Some of them must literally just go crazy with that.
Yeah. Well, and so what I see is those players who have had a good foundation, whether it be family or mentors or people around them that have helped them get the discipline of putting some boundaries in their life and understanding work ethic and having a sense of gratitude. Those guys, they're going to do okay because they've got a foundation on which to build a life. And then there's other guys that have come to me that are the complete opposite. And they don't even realize it on an emotional and a life scale. They're in survival mode and they don't have any systems or boundaries or anything. And so then they receive the same sort of money and there's no foundation. And so it's for those, I'm always like, man, like I feel like I'm so grateful for the father that I had, my mom and my dad. But as a man working in the basketball business, there's so many young men who haven't had great father figures or great examples on what it is to be a man. So I'm like, okay, this is part of my calling, is to help show these young men what it is to be a man of character and of quality beyond just earning a lot of money.
This is so important in our day and age, isn't it? It's so important. Certainly in the UK, and it sounds maybe similar in the US, there are a lot of young men that don't have those male role models to help shape them. And they get really lost, don't they? They get terribly lost. And if they take a wrong turn and it can be a split-second decision that takes them down a really wrong path that just destroys all that potential. It's so sad. I'm so pleased you're doing this. It's a really great service to society as much as anything.
Well, thank you. I feel that way. And it's like such a strong, compelling draw in me to do this that it's like not a choice for me at this point. It's like
Yeah.
this is why I'm here. Like, and I've got two kids that I absolutely love that, I see my son and I'm like, man, I want to be a great model for him. Like, I don't want to just be here as a dad. Like, I want my son to be great. Okay, then I have to show him the path of that, right? But then there's so many of these other players and guys that are involved in my basketball academy that are coming through that they don't have anything like that. So if they can just get a glimmer of light and a glimmer of hope, and some of these guys, they're so their run-ins with male authority has been so ugly, or there have been so many letdowns
Yeah.
that it's difficult for them to trust authority or to trust a man. And so that's where I find like, hey, that's where I find my call, like a deeper calling of like, no, like I want to help develop these people, these young men. But I've also, because of that, I've seen that so I've been doing this for 15 years, right? For the
Yeah.
basketball side of things. I've seen a lot of these. If I was working with some of these kids, this is what's starting to show my age. I was working with some of these kids when they were 14 or 15,
Right.
and they're 25, 26, 27, and they have families of their own. And
Wow.
I see them kind of circling back. And so I've had a couple of men's retreats where I'm doing the same thing of teaching men about their character. Now I don't have, not just through basketball, I'm taking another avenue to add on to what I'm doing.
That's fantastic. So that was going to be my next question, Colin. Where are you taking this? How do you see it sort of expanding and growing from where you are now?
Yeah, and so my growth as a leader, I've got a really good team for my basketball academy where now I get to teach and train my coaches on
Right.
how to operate the business. And I've got a great manager that I'm really thankful for, who's been with me for a long time. So I feel like me stepping back, and this is the thing that I needed to learn as a leader, like me doing everything was not good leadership.
No.
Right. God, it took me so long to learn that. So me finding the right team and then pulling back and then like allowing the space for them to grow is much better leadership. It's harder to do, but it's much better leadership. So now I've got that. So for the past couple of years, I've held some men's retreats, and now I have a group that meets once a month. In terms of just really what it is it's an emotional education, a character building, personal development for men in a sense that is for open to anybody. So I take out the athletics part of it, right? So we're not pigeonholed into that. But I think there's so many men that are running around having no idea how to do relationships right. No idea where they're going in life. They're just trying to get through it and they're just trying to survive. And so I found like, wow, like these men also need help in their relationships and their marriages and their goals and their destinations. And so now I feel like I have even more of a broader platform to be able to make an impact.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think that's amazing. I have a son and a husband and a brother. And I see my son's 22 and he has a really good group of friends that he can share his feelings with and, his problems. And he has a mum who will listen. And, my husband, it's really interesting. He gets that through his golf.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the guys, they play golf, and while they're playing golf, they're talking about all kinds of things, but they're talking. That's the point, is they're talking.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's fascinating to see how men access that outlet. And sometimes if they've got no outlet, then a retreat, coming to somebody like you, perfect. I think that's fantastic.
And that's the thing is really what we're looking for. And we may not know it, is just a community. It's just
Yeah.
it's a tribe. It's people who care about us and we can care about them. And in our society here is it's very individualistic. You can have your phone and you can just be totally separate from everybody and still feel like you get what you want.
Carry on. Go for it. We lost you there for a minute, but we're back now, Colin. Go for it.
Awesome. Yeah. So I was just alluding to the fact that our societies are so individualistic now, and it's almost like we're told not to need anybody. Woman, you don't need a man to provide for you. Great. Man, you don't need a woman to make you happy. And it's all this like, hey, just do it all on your own. And we are social beings. We were meant to be connected. And that's where we find more fulfillment.
Yeah.
You hear so many stories of success when it's shared with other people, like it's an awesome ordeal that impacts so much. And then some people achieve success on their own, and it's so lonely that they don't even really celebrate it.
I know.
And so to me, it is helping men understand that community and connection is good, that they're not supposed to do it on their own. That was a belief that I had. Like if I was going to become a great man, a great father, a great coach or basketball, whatever, that I had to do it on my own. Like that's the way guys do it. That's how we saw 007 do it. He didn't. I mean, come on. That's how we saw, that's how we saw Rocky do it, or whoever, whatever shows or movies or influences we had in that regard. And if you think about it today, if we're not connected to good mentors or coaches or people who care about us, then we're really left to whatever we're scrolling on our phone.
That's true.
And it's so individually, like people don't have to seek it out. Like they can just feel like they're getting whatever they need through their phone, and they can't.
And they can't. No, they really can't. That's fantastic. Colin, it's my last question. I could talk to you all day. This is a fascinating subject. But you have a world to save, or rather sort of 49% of the population to save. And that is, if your business had a character or a personality, either describe it or who would it be?
Rebecca, that's a fantastic question. And you didn't ask me this beforehand. And the first thing that popped into my mind is William Wallace from Braveheart.
No way.
Yeah, absolutely my favorite movie. I probably watched it 40 times. And it's this idea that this man of such courage was able to help liberate a country that without the struggle that he had, and I know Hollywood is Hollywood, right? So it's not all factual, right? But is he wasn't so worried about his own, what he would get out of it. He was he was so caught up with the liberation of his people and them not having to deal with the traumatic thing that happened with he and his wife. And so to me, it's like my inspiration is that, like, I can't, if I'm really going to help people, I can't be worried about what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to inspire another set of men or another generation to do more for others, then I can't be caught up with what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And so I think if it had to be something like that, it would be William Wallace and Braveheart.
My husband is going to be delighted because as a true Scotsman, that is his favorite film.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh man, I can't tell you how many times I actually tried to like talk like I was Scottish. Oh my gosh. So I'm envious. Tell your husband I'm envious of his accent. Whatever it is, it's beautiful in my mind.
It's a good, solid East Coast Scottish accent. So he was born in East Lothian, but we've lived in Edinburgh for a long time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm surrounded by lovely Scottish accents. What can I say?
That's awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic. Right. We're going to put details of how to get hold of you on the podcast notes, which is brilliant. I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic, much needed in today's world. And just keep doing what you're doing. And thank you so much for your time today, Colin.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Coming up soon is my interview with Mike Welsh, OBE, founder of Black Circles, and also CEO, president, and founder of Tire Buyer in the US. If you want to know what it feels like the day after you've sold your business for multi-million pounds, listen and find out. Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at TriCrest, we've built a kick-ass culture coach and consultant program? So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9 to 5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there.
The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen. Grab your seat, let's have a blast.